You have questions about your pricing your creative services. I have answers for you. Welcome to Coaching for Creatives. My name is Aura McKay, and I am the founder of Business of Creativity. And I come to you live every Tuesday, not always with my cat, but every Tuesday at 2 p.m. to offer you something around business, marketing, and mindset in terms of training or tips or strategies. And today I am here to answer your questions. You are a creative freelancer or solopreneur, and you have questions about pricing. And how do I know that? Because virtually every single creative freelancer or solopreneur that I have ever met has had some kind of question or challenge or concern about pricing. So I would love to hear from you to see what your questions are. I'm just going to scooch this little screen over to make sure that I can see what is actually happening on Facebook in terms of questions that you post. So I would love to see what you've got to share in the comments. If you have any questions about how to price your creative services. So one of the ones that came up in this morning's Business Accelerator Mastermind was, should I offer discounts and promotions, especially around Christmas and holiday seasons? So often if you're going to create a promotion, if you are going to adjust or bring your prices down, my personal opinion is that you need to have a reason for it so that people understand why your prices are different now than they normally are. There's this kind of thinking that goes on for a lot of people, which is, if I know I can get it on sale, why would I ever pay full price? And this has been some of the challenges for creatives and photographers specifically, who tried on things like Groupon to get a lot of discounting people to come in and to use your services right away, but then they are anchored in sort of that discounting mindset. One of the contributors in today's mastermind meeting offered that if somebody comes to you because they're price shopping and they chose you only because of your price, and not because of your creative services or your style or the value that you bring to them, they're strictly shopping on price, then they will probably leave you as a client for price, because that's the thing that they value the most. And it is possible to build a business based on price, but it's not really very practical to build a fulfilling, meaningful, creative business if you're going to try to compete on price. It's very, very challenging. Usually that also involves high volume. So hopefully that answers the question. I think, you can do promotions, seasonal promotions, because there's a reason for it. What I usually like to do instead of offering discounts is I prefer to incentivize people by adding extra value. So you can add extra image files or extra revisions, or you can bonus in additional time with you to get training on how to use their images or their logos more effectively, or how to leverage their new blog content that you've just written for them. So adding more service, more time, more value, I think that's usually a better choice than offering a discount. So those of you that have joined me live, please put any of your pricing questions that you might have into the comment box. One of the things that we notice a lot in the mastermind group is that, one or two people will kind of feel brave enough to post their questions, and everybody else will be nodding and listening intently. Generally, if you have a question, there's another creative out there that has a question as well. So I just answered the question about should I offer a discount or lower my prices. Another question that comes up for a lot of creatives is, when should I raise my prices? And sort of like the corollary of that is, how do I raise my prices? So let's first look at when you should raise your prices, and then let's look at how you should raise your prices. So when you should raise your prices. So there's a sort of a rule of thumb that says if you sell your highest price offer more than 3 times in a year, it's time to raise your prices. If you're finding that people are saying yes, and then they keep asking you for more, like they're not quite getting enough in the way that you've designed your offers, maybe there's an opportunity for you to raise your prices, but also expand your offers to serve on a deeper level, to match that raised price as well. So when should you raise your prices? When your selling is too easy, to be honest with you. That you want price to be part of the consideration, but not the only consideration. So part of the consideration, meaning you want them to know that they're getting value from the services that you're offering. We had this come up today where one of our members in the mastermind, she targets like really big international architecture firms, legal firms, businesses that are quite big, that have big marketing budgets. And as a photographer, if she were to go in and price her services too low, she wouldn't necessarily have the credibility from the perspective of a large enterprise level client like that. They might start to wonder, like, if she's pricing herself so low, is she actually experienced enough to deliver the value that we actually need from her? So sometimes if you're getting zero pricing objections and selling is super easy, your prices might be too low. And there is a downfall to setting your prices too low, especially, and mostly, gang, it's the big answer is, are your prices aligned with the value that you provide? So raising your prices, if you've raised the value of what you provide, or if the perception in the marketplace is that, oh, this is worth more than that. So when I was talking about the woman who was a photographer for super high-end, sort of big national type companies, she needs to have her price match the value perception that her clients are looking for. If the price doesn't match the value perception, marketing and selling is really tough, which is why if we feel uncomfortable about selling, or we're not as experienced in our sales, sometimes we feel like, oh, I gotta lower my prices. I gotta lower my prices. I gotta lower my prices, because the sales conversation is where we help to create that value perception. And if we're not doing a good job in our own business of establishing the value of what we do, our prices probably are not going to be as high as we want them to be. But if we can do a good job at establishing the value of what we provide, then we can charge more, because we are matching the value perception of our clients. One last thing I will share on this is, there is an old adage that says, the more they pay, the more they pay attention. And especially with creative services, we are selling something that is intangible. We're selling a promise. We're selling something that's invisible to someone, and they're going to trust us to deliver that intangibility, that promise. Well, trust is something that's super valuable. And if you're not charging people enough money, they may not trust you. And usually you'll find, if you're trying to perform your service, your creative service, and you're getting a lot of supervision or micromanagement, or your client is telling you how to do things all the time, you might need to charge more money, because what your prices are saying is, I don't know what I'm doing well enough to be trusted. So when you look at your prices, start to look at, what are your prices saying about you? Are your prices saying, hey, I am high-end, high quality, and a good investment? Or are they saying, I'm cheap and cheerful? Are they saying, I'm a low quantity, high quality? What are your prices actually saying about you? So how do you raise your prices? if you actually decide that this is the time to raise your prices. Well, we're coming up to a new year, and definitely using seasonality or changes in years can be a great way to establish a precedent for raising your prices. So raising them by 10% increments every year or every 6 months to sort of match the development of your skills, to match the increase in costs. Hopefully costs aren't increasing 10% every 6 months. That would be really awesome. Really not awesome, rather. Really awful. So when you look at your pricing and you're wanting to increase your pricing, one of the greatest ways that you can increase your pricing is to adjust your offers. So anytime you change how you're presenting your offers, what you include or you don't include, when you change your offers, that's a great time to adjust your prices, because now you're selling something slightly different, or you're presenting it in a different value proposition. So then it can have a different price associated to that different value. So adjusting your offers is a great way to instigate raising your prices. Another way to raise your prices, especially if your block to raising your prices is your own mindset, if your block to raising your prices is your own insecurity or feeling like an imposter or a lack of confidence, you can try on new prices and start to practice offering your new prices, and then offer them a special rate for now because of a reason. So usually because they're grandfathered in at your previous rate. So because they've hired you once before at a lower rate, you'll still give them that rate, but your new prices are this amount. So how that's worked for me practically is, my coach really encouraged me to triple my prices for my private coaching sessions when I first met her. And I was not comfortable in tripling my prices at that point. This was several years ago now. And I wasn't confident enough in the kind of value that I provide to my clients. I wasn't clear that the transformation that I help my clients experience in their businesses changed their lives, changed their income, changed how they felt about themselves, changed their level of fulfillment. Like, I was not clued into the impact of what I do and what the value that I provide. And so I was really nervous and uncertain about raising my prices. So how I approached it was, I let people know, hey, this is what my private coaching costs, but because you're a member of this association that I want to support, I'll give it to you for this price instead. Or, yes, these are my coaching prices, but you've been a longtime loyal client, so I'm going to offer you loyalty pricing instead. So special pricing to help me get adjusted to raising those prices. So again, that's a lot of questions answered today around pricing. If you have additional questions around pricing your creative services, please pop them in the comment box. I always go back and review comments here. I review the comments when they're posted on YouTube. So wherever you're listening to this, if you have a pricing question that I haven't answered yet, pop it in there. Maybe it'll come up as its own Coaching for Creatives session, or consider registering for the Pricing for Creatives program. The next one starts tomorrow on Wednesday. There'll be another one starting in January. I would love to fully train you on how to price your creative services for profitability and for growth. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll also share a link with you. Thank you so much for joining me live. I always appreciate to see people in the little live eyeball button to know that you guys have seen it. Thanks for listening to learn. I appreciate you all. I will see you here next week on Coaching for Creatives. I'm Aura McKay, and I'm the founder of Business of Creativity. Have a fabulous week.